Every year, millions of people visit America's national parks. Hidden behind the postcards and scenic overlooks is another world. A world of rangers, helicopters, search and rescue teams, and the 911 calls that are so wild, no dispatcher could ever anticipate. Clarence Yoder stepped out onto the pavement near Yellowstone's 7-mile bridge on an April afternoon, drawn by the slow, heavy movement of a bison herd grazing beside the road. The air was still, broken only by the low grunts of the animals and the distant hum of traffic. Yoder, visiting from Idaho Falls, ignored the posted warnings and the silent stares of other visitors. He advanced past the recommended buffer, 25 yards meant to protect both people and wildlife. Witnesses later told rangers that he kicked one of the bison in the leg. Within seconds, the animal reacted. Bison are not docile cattle. They weigh over a ton and can run faster than a sprinter. The herd shifted, and Yoder was knocked to the ground, suffering minor injuries. Someone dialed 911, reporting not just an injury, but the harassment of the herd itself. Park rangers located Yoder's vehicle near the west entrance. He was treated for his wounds, then arrested. The charges were disorderly conduct, intoxication, approaching wildlife, and disturbing wildlife. The incident became Yellowstone's first recorded bison-related injury of the 2024 season, and it triggered a renewed warning. Keep your distance or face both nature's consequences and the law. The rules are not arbitrary. Bison defend their space when pressured. The 25-yard guideline exists because wild animals, even in the most photographed places, respond on instinct. A moment of bravado or poor judgment can turn a roadside encounter into a criminal record and a headline. David Allen Kerwin was 24 years old when he made a decision that would haunt Yellowstone's history. On July 20th, 1981, he and a friend parked near the fountain paint pot area. Their dog, Moosey, slipped from the car, padded out onto the boardwalk, and tumbled into Celestine Pool, a deep, shimmering spring with water near 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Moosey's frantic splashing lasted only seconds. Kerwan, seeing the dog's agony, acted on instinct. He dove in after him. The water, nearly at boiling point, stripped away skin and vision almost instantly. Kerwan surfaced, blinded, with burns covering most of his body. Witnesses tried to help, but the damage was already done. He was rushed by ambulance to a hospital in West Yellowstone, then transferred to Salt Lake City. He died the next morning, less than 24 hours after the rescue attempt. Celestine Pool is not unique in its danger. Yellowstone's geothermal features are beautiful, but fundamentally unstable. The thin crust around these pools can collapse under a person's weight, and the water, sometimes acidic, always hot, destroys tissue in seconds. The rules exist because the land does not forgive mistakes. At Stovepipe Wells in Death Valley, late April 2023 brought a different kind of emergency. One that started quietly and ended with a race against biology. A woman working at the general store noticed a small bat behaving oddly on a garbage can. It did not fly away when she approached. She slipped on nitrile gloves, thinking she could help move it out of harm's way. The bat bit her on the hand, right through the glove.
911?
The animal was captured and sent for laboratory testing. Days later, the results came back. Positive for rabies. Rabies is almost always fatal once symptoms appear. There is no waiting, no watch and see. The moment the positive result was confirmed, she began post-exposure prophylaxis, followed by a 4-shot vaccine series over the next 2 weeks. In Death Valley, the virus can travel along nerves, hidden and silent, until it is too late to stop. That is why the rule is absolute. Never handle wildlife, no matter how harmless it looks. The first backpack disappeared near Ramsey Cascades, one moment slung over a bench, the next snatched by a black bear that had wandered out of the undergrowth. Within 48 hours, park dispatchers logged 3 more calls. Hikers described the same bear, bold, unhurried, nosing through daypacks, poking a startled visitor with its snout, and showing no fear of people. The encounters were not random. Rangers recognized the pattern immediately. This was not a bear acting on instinct alone, but an animal shaped by repeated exposure to human food. Rangers responded with aversion tactics, rubber ball firecrackers, shouting, even closing the most popular routes for several days. The aim was not punishment. It was an attempt to unteach a bear what people had already taught it, that humans mean food. The park issued a bear safety bulletin, urging visitors to use bear-proof canisters and keep all food within arm's reach. Trail closures, once rare, became necessary to protect both people and wildlife. Habituation is not a quirk or a joke. It is a permanent change in an animal's behavior, often ending with relocation or lethal removal when deterrence fails. The backpack bandit was not a cartoon villain, but a living reminder that in these wild places, the rules are written not just for us, but for every creature that learns from our mistakes. Bob Boardman had hiked Clahane Ridge in Olympic National Park many times before. On October 16, 2010, he was resting with friends along the Switchback Trail when a large mountain goat approached. It was no casual sighting. The animal lowered its head, closed the distance, and drove a horn into Boardman's thigh. Witnesses later recalled the goat standing over him, refusing to back away even as people shouted and threw rocks. The danger did not end with the first strike. Rangers and medics, racing up the trail, entered the same threat zone, knowing that the animal was still near and unpredictable. Boardman was airlifted by a Coast Guard helicopter to the hospital in Port Angeles. He died of his injuries shortly after arrival. The wound had severed a major artery. This was not a random act of wildness. The goat had a documented history. 63 prior complaints had been logged about its boldness and aggression toward visitors. Park staff had tried beanbag rounds, thrown rocks, and used other non-lethal deterrents. But the animal kept returning to popular trails, unafraid of people and increasingly territorial. After the attack, rangers tracked the goat and made the decision to kill it. The park's investigation confirmed the animal was in rut, a period when male goats become especially combative. Still, the record of complaints raised hard questions about the limits of management and the unpredictable nature of wild animals, even in places that seem controlled. On October 6, 2025, Yellowstone's Lamar Valley became the stage for an incident that left even seasoned rangers shaking their heads. During a scheduled wolf-watching event, a man broke from the crowd and strode directly toward a pack of at least 5 wolves. He carried a pepper spray canister in one hand, waving his arms as he advanced. The wolves, startled by the sudden approach, retreated in a tight formation. The entire encounter was captured on a bystander's phone and quickly spread across social media, replayed in disbelief by viewers who could hardly accept it was real. Park regulations are clear. No one is permitted within 25 yards of a wolf. Wolves are apex predators, but even they will avoid conflict with a determined human. In this case, the man's actions forced the animals to abandon their territory, disrupting natural behavior and putting the entire pack at risk. Rangers responded within minutes, detaining the man before the situation could escalate further. A formal wildlife disturbance charge followed, and the man now faces federal penalties, including possible jail time. The park's spokesperson issued a blunt reminder. Using deterrence or harassing wildlife is not just reckless, it is a crime. Yellowstone's wolf packs are not props for thrill seekers. At 9 o'clock on a May morning in 2025, the Essex County 911 Center in upstate New York took a call that seemed impossible.
911, what's your emergency?
Two hikers, voices trembling, told dispatchers that their friend had died on the summit of Cascade Mountain. The mountain, one of the most popular in the Adirondacks, is known for its sweeping views and well-worn trails, not for death. But the callers insisted their companion was gone, lifeless on the rock above timberline. A state forest ranger was dispatched without hesitation. As the ranger climbed, the details remained unclear. No injury had been described. No fall, no animal attack, just a flat statement: our friend is dead. When the ranger reached the summit, the truth was stranger than the call. The so-called victim was alive, but barely responsive, eyes unfocused, body slack. The group admitted they had taken psilocybin mushrooms earlier that morning. The world around them had dissolved into hallucination and confusion. To the two who called, their friend's silence and stillness felt like death itself. To the ranger, the situation was now a medical crisis, one that required calm, assessment, and a safe descent for all three. Psilocybin can distort time, erase boundaries, and turn the familiar into the terrifying. A single lapse, chemical or otherwise, can turn a scenic hike into a call for help that should not have been real. A vault toilet sits on the summit of Mount Walker, little more than a concrete slab over an 8-foot pit. On an April morning in 2022, a California visitor stepped inside, phone in hand. The device slipped from her grasp and vanished into the darkness below. Most would walk away, but she chose a different path, removing the seat, threading a dog leash through the opening, and lowering herself head first into the vault. Within seconds, the world narrowed to a suffocating darkness. Trapped upside down, she struggled for nearly 15 minutes, her arms slick, her footing lost, the walls too steep and slick to climb. At last, she managed to reach her phone and dial 911, her voice echoing through the concrete chamber to the dispatchers at JeffCom 911. The call may have sounded absurd, but the danger was real.
Help is on the way.
Vault toilets are sealed, oxygen-poor spaces, built to contain biological hazards. For rescuers, every confined space call is an exercise in caution. Air must be tested for safe breathing, and every move calculated to avoid a second victim. Brennan Fire Department and Quilcene Fire Rescue arrived with cribbing and ladders, building a stable platform over the pit. They lowered a rescue harness, coached her to step onto the platform, and lifted her into daylight. The operation took less than half an hour. She emerged shaken, but unharmed, urged to seek medical care for possible exposure. The phone, covered in filth, was recovered as well. The boundaries of park safety are not always drawn by wildlife or landscape. In Yosemite, the threat shifted from environment to human, and the target was the people sworn to protect the park. Michael Anthony Valencia, a 32-year-old from Wisconsin, set up camp near the Pohono Trail without a permit. Rangers found him in violation of backcountry rules, an all-too-common administrative headache in a park that issues thousands of permits each season. On a July morning in 2024, the situation turned physical. When approached by a ranger, Valencia refused to comply. Words became shouts. In the chaos, he began attacking the rangers, a commotion that echoed through the pines and over the radio. What began as a routine permit check had become a criminal assault. The rangers, now a target, faced the kind of danger more often associated with city streets than mountain trails. Federal prosecutors charged Valencia with assault on a federal officer, interference with government duties, and illegal camping. He pleaded guilty and received a sentence of time served, followed by 3 years of supervised release, extending into 2026. Austin Dirks knew the courthouse wash trail in Arches National Park as a place of red rock and silence, not as a trap. On December 7, 2025, the ground under his boots gave way. One step, and he was swallowed to his thighs by quicksand, cold, wet, and tightening with every movement. The desert sun was dropping. His cell phone, already drained from hours of hiking, flickered out. There was no one else on the trail, and no signal to call for help. Quicksand in the high desert is not the bottomless pit of old movies, but it is relentless. The more Dirks struggled, the deeper he sank. After nearly 2 hours, his legs were numb. Hypothermia was a growing risk. He tried to dig himself out, but the ground closed around him. Self-rescue was impossible. Dirks carried a Garmin InReach satellite messenger, but even that device was buried in his pack, just out of arm's reach. He improvised, using his trekking pole to drag the pack closer, then fumbled the InReach free with shaking hands. His fingers were stiff, but he managed to power it on and send a distress signal. Just a few words, but enough. The message bounced from the device to a satellite, then down to Grand County Search and Rescue. Within 45 minutes, the rescue team arrived, carrying rope winch gear and medical supplies. The extraction was anything but simple. Rescuers secured Dirks with a harness and used a rope winch to pull him free. The saturated sand clung to his legs, and every movement risked further injury. To keep his airway clear and to combat the effects of cold, they fitted him with a breathing assist bag and wrapped him in a thermal blanket as soon as he was clear. Dirks was treated for mild hypothermia, but suffered no lasting harm. Without the satellite message, the outcome could have been far worse. In places where the ground itself can trap you, reliable communication is not just a convenience, it is a lifeline. The margin for error in wilderness shrinks to nothing when the land decides you are not moving another inch. The air over Buttermilk Falls in the Catskills is sharp and silent in January. On the afternoon of January 24th, 2025, a solo ice climber lost his footing on the frozen cascade, tumbling onto rock and ice and landing hard on his shoulder. The terrain at Buttermilk is steep, hemmed in by forest, and slick with spray that freezes into glass. The only way out for the injured climber was up, a route impossible on foot. Seamus Peterson, a New York Department of Environmental Conservation forest ranger, was first on scene. He scrambled down the icy approach with a medical kit, assessed the climber's injuries, and radioed for aerial extraction. The injury was serious,
Can you hear me?
a suspected fracture and possible internal bleeding. Time mattered, and so did access. A stretcher team would have taken hours to navigate the slopes and frozen ledges. Instead, Peterson coordinated with the New York State Police Aviation Unit, relaying GPS coordinates and a description of the landing zone. The helicopter crew, trained for high-angle rescues, hovered above the falls, lowering a medic and a rescue basket by winch. Peterson and the aviation medic stabilized the climber, securing him into the stretcher as wind and rotor wash whipped snow across the gorge. Within minutes, the patient was lifted clear of the trees, swung up into the helicopter, and flown straight to a trauma center in Albany. This kind of operation is not routine, but it is not rare. Modern rangers are trained for more than citations and lost hikers. They are medics, firefighters, technical rescuers, able to move from first aid to high-angle extraction in the span of a call. The Buttermilk Falls rescue ran on a checklist: assess, stabilize, coordinate airspace, secure the patient, manage the hoist. Each step required clear communication between agencies, from the ground crew in the woods to the pilots overhead, and the trauma team waiting at the hospital. The climbers' survival depended on that chain holding, each link as practiced as the next. The terrain in places like the Catskills does not forgive mistakes, and it does not yield to improvisation. There is no fanfare at the end, only a return to the quiet, and the knowledge that someone made it out because the right skills and the right teamwork showed up when it mattered most. On the evening of June 8, 2025, an emergency call reached Isle Royale National Park. The message was brief. A crisis had unfolded at the South Lake des Ors campground. Eagle Royale sits isolated in Lake Superior, accessible only by boat or seaplane. Once the last ferry departs, the world beyond becomes distant, with weather, water, and miles of forest separating campers from any hope of quick response. Rangers gathered what they could carry, knowing the route ahead would test both speed and endurance. Night closed in as they hiked, the silence broken only by the crunch of boots. There was no way to hurry the miles. Help would arrive only as fast as human legs could manage. By the time Rangers reached the remote site on June 9, 2025, it was too late. Two campers, John Baird and Bradley Baird, were found dead. The scene was quiet, the forest pressing in, the only witnesses the wind and the trees. Park officials issued a statement. The deaths were not the result of wildlife. No further details were offered then, and the cause remained outside the park's public narrative. No rescue was possible. The remoteness that draws people to Isle Royale can also dictate the outcome before anyone arrives. In some emergencies, the clock runs out long before the first responder sets foot on the trail. Not every call can be answered in time. In America's wildest places, the line between thrill and tragedy remains razor thin. Park rules, often written in the aftermath of heartbreak, exist because wilderness does not grant second chances. Each year, over 300 million visitors step into these landscapes. Most leave with memories, a few leave a warning. Out here, nature is still in charge.